Welcome back, friends. Well, I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And as I have been saying, I think I'm going to change my channel to Awakened Astrologer or Astrology for Awakening or Astrology for the Apocalypse, because this is transform or die time. We've got the Pluto intense energy, unlike anything I personally have ever seen in my life. But, of course, I have, as an astrologer, I have never seen this before. So I don't know how I would compare it to other things that have happened in my lifetime. But astrologically, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen Pluto energy as intense as what we are experiencing right now. So everything that we discuss in astrology right now is colored by this aspect, this influence of Pluto. So basically, if you want to transform, then you are in the right place. And if you don't want to transform, I don't know why. That's all I can say. So because this is a Pluto transit. Pluto is in the most intense I have ever seen it in all my years as an astrologer. And so every single one of us is having a Pluto transit. The entire planet is having a Pluto transit all at the same time. This is transform or die time. If you don't know what that means, what does that mean, a Pluto transit? Well, you're finding out. This is what it means. So if you ever hear that phrase again, a Pluto transit, think about what's happening right now. Okay? This is like textbook example of a Pluto transit. But it's unusual because I don't think any astrologers alive today, maybe there are some who, are much, much older in years than I am, who have seen something like this before. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think they have either. It's just unbelievable. So I wanted to bring you a video on the Libra Aries full moon, which is on April 7th, and also show you the Mars-Uranus square, which is happening on the exact same day. And I'm calling this video, Calling All Lightworkers. And there's a rumor going around about this thing called the 3 days of darkness. And the idea basically is that everything's going to go dark. I'm not exactly sure what that means by everything, but the rumor is that we will no longer have access to the internet or to our cell phones for 3 days. That's the rumor that's going around. So for those of you who either aren't familiar with this or have heard it but don't know what it's about, it's based on Bible prophecy. So I guess what I want to say is, rather than go into further explanation about this, I would like to bring up the charts because I think that will help illuminate a lot of the mystery around this, okay? So this is the April Aries Libra full moon. It's April 7th in the evening. I set it for Washington, D.C., so it's 10:35 p.m. April 7th in Washington, D.C., so you can just adjust for your time zone. But basically, this is the full moon. A full moon is always the moon and sun in opposition. And this full moon is at 18 degrees of Libra, 44 minutes. And the sun is at 18 degrees of Aries, 44 minutes. So I decided to lay it against the U.S. chart, the Declaration of Independence, because as I was looking at the chart, I thought it would be so much more meaningful if we could see what was actually happening to the chart of the birth of our nation. And there is a difference between the chart that is the signing of the Declaration and the chart that represents the signing of the Constitution. And it's important to understand that these are different because they happened in different years, but also because they have a different energy. The Declaration of Independence, think about what that means. A declaration of independence, a declaration of freedom, okay? Breaking away, revolting, rebelling, independence, freedom. This is what the chart, the energy of the chart means, okay? And then the other chart, the Constitution, is a very different energy. The Constitution is the document that is the foundation of our government structure. That is very, very different energy from a Declaration of Freedom. Okay, so it's important to understand the difference. I'm using the Declaration of Independence chart because as I've been doing these readings, I have found that the way that the planetary energy is landing, it is impacting the Declaration of Independence chart in profound ways. So I wanted to show you that because I think that it will help create some really important context for this April 7 full moon. So as you can see here, the sun is right over Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer, and it's right over it, right over Chiron and right over Juno. And this is all about the suffering, the pain, the woundedness. And this is a feminine energy over here, whereas this is a masculine energy over here. And that doesn't mean that men and women are opposing each other. What it means is that there is something about this energy that I do think has, to some degree, a masculine energy here in Aries and a feminine energy over here in Libra. And I think that this is the commitment of women and mothers to nurture and heal in Libra. And the energy over here, the masculine energy, wants to fight. It's angry, it wants to fight. Okay, so there's a desire to strike out, to fight back, to fight this thing, you know. And that energy, directed in a constructive way, is a good energy. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to direct that energy. So it's about balance and integration. Some people will be able to do that, some people will not. But that's what the energy of this chart is all about. And this full moon is also forming some squares to the 2nd and 8th house of the nation, which are the resources. And it's making a square to Pluto over here. It's a fairly wide square, you know, it's 6 degrees, but I don't think that's going to be, I mean, I think that the square is actually going to be really powerful because of the fact that Pluto is so intense right now. And so even though it's a 6-degree orb from the 18 degrees of the full moon to the 24 degrees of Pluto, but because Pluto is so intense right now, I think that it can stretch out its energy certainly by 6 degrees. So that orb is still would I think be considered actually a fairly tight orb because of the fact that Pluto is so intense right now. It can stretch out its energy that far. Plus the fact that the moon and the sun moves in a degree every day. So it's going to catch up with Pluto within the week. And the moon changes signs pretty much every 2 days. So it will actually form an exact square to Pluto within hours after this full moon. So, and then over here, the square, which also forms an opposition between Pluto and Mercury, is getting activated. So there's a T-square in this chart with this full moon. And this is in the money and resource houses. So the full moon, the way it's landing with these two oppositions that form a grand cross, is trying to show us something extremely important about the way that we have prioritized and allocated our resources. We are living with the results of that, okay? And so just like with an adult who has to learn how to be independent and to manage his or her resources, and if those resources are not managed wisely, then one will suffer, okay? And that's what we're seeing as a nation. So we have to think about the way we have allocated our resources, because these are resource houses. These are money houses, resource houses, finance houses. It's the economy. It's everything to do with money, finances, economics, resources, everything, okay? And how we have allocated those resources. So we're learning a very powerful lesson here, brought to us by Pluto. The other thing to consider is that the nodes, like the North Node, is right over Venus, and Venus rules money and love, the things we're passionate about, the things we love. That is money and wealth, because she is the ruler of the second house, and the second house is a resource house. But she is also the ruler of Libra, which is the relationship house. And so with the North Node conjunct Libra, this is a karmic direction of our evolution. It is a karmic calling. The North Node is calling us to the direction of our evolution, to change everything to do with Venus in the 8th house, okay? And by the way, Pluto rules the 8th house. And this is a calling that cannot be denied. And, you know, that's why I keep saying in my videos that I will keep repeating the message over and over and over again. We cannot go back to the way it was before. We will not go back to the way it was before. And it's partly choice, but it's also not a choice. Like, we literally cannot go back to the way it was before. We literally will not go back to the way it was before. This is the North Node. And we will have a total new moon eclipse right over this degree here on June 20th, which is the same day that Jupiter and Pluto conjunct retrograde. They conjunct the second time this year. So the first time was on April 4th. The second time will be on June 20th. Or maybe it's the 30th, close enough when it comes to a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. It pretty much coincides with the new moon eclipse on Venus on June 20th. So some change is coming. And, you know, I'm just going to keep repeating it over and over and over again, because if people, it's really not about other people. You know, I've had to come to terms with that I can only do my part. If people don't want to wake up and face reality, then I can't do anything about that. I can only do what I am called to do. And as long as I do that, then I can sleep at night. And the thing that I am called to do as an astrologer is tell you the truth, okay? And I am telling you the truth, that we absolutely will not and cannot go back to the way it was before. And that doesn't have anything to do with what I want or don't want. It has to do with the astrological alignments. I am predicting the future based on the astrological alignments, and I am telling you that they state very clearly that we cannot and will not go back to the way it was in the past. We literally don't have a choice. And so when I say this is a call to all light workers, what I mean by that is you have to decide. You are being called to be a light worker and to change this world, to do whatever you are called to do, to change this world, to change yourself, to change the energy that we put into this world, to change it from fear to love. So I hope you will take that calling. And so let me see what else I need to tell you about this, this chart here. So the Neptune-Mercury conjunction is squaring Mars up here. And Mars is being highly, highly activated in this full moon chart, partly because the sun in this full moon chart is in Aries. And Lilith is in Aries. And Chiron is transiting Aries. So these are some unbelievably powerful asteroid energy. And when they're in Aries, the sun, Lilith, Chiron, they intensify the Mars energy because Mars is the ruler of Aries. And Mars is being activated in the natal chart by this Neptune-Mercury conjunction that's squaring Mars at the time of this full moon. And there's another square that I need to talk about in this chart. And that has to do with Uranus squaring Mars, which actually ends up being exact on the day of the full moon. So I'm going to show you that chart. So again, Mars is being activated in the natal chart by the Neptune-Mercury square. It's also, and I believe this is the illness, but it's also the disinformation. There's just an unbelievable amount of disinformation happening right now, and confusion and rumors of rumors. And so it's just what humanity needs to go through right now karmically in order to wake up, you know. And that's why I'm so passionate about this message, because I just think that the more people I can reach, it's like throwing a pebble into a pond and it ripples outward. And if I help someone else realize it's time to wake up, and they really get it, and they do wake up. And, you know, if you're asking yourself the question, what does that mean? What it means is to let go of your petty ego, which is all the judgment, it's all the fear, it's all the hatred, and the acquisitiveness, the greed, you know. I mean, I will be actually doing some videos on Bible prophecy, because astrology is a divination tool, okay? I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I have had psychic abilities since I was very young. And that used to be much, much, much more intense, but I didn't have a mentor at the time. I wasn't able to handle it. So I had to shut it down. And I've never been able to access it at that level again, but I am highly intuitive. And so I definitely believe that psychic abilities are possible, intuitive abilities are possible, and divination tools can help us to predict the future. and that includes Bible prophecy. It can be a divination tool. So I will be doing some videos on that, but today I'm just going to touch on the 3 days of darkness, which is a Bible prophecy. And so in order to do that, I am going to show you the chart with the exact square of Uranus to Mars that happens on the same day as the April 7th full moon. And again, I will talk about what that means. What is the 3 days of darkness? What does that mean? Well, like I said, it is a Bible prophecy, but I will help you to understand more about it and what it means. So, all right, so let's look at this. I'm not going to repeat all of the alignments that I already talked about. I am just, well, actually there was one that I missed, which was Juno. Juno was being activated. It will be activated so this happens earlier in the day at 2:50 p.m. in Washington, D.C., so you can adjust for your time zone. And so later in the day, like 8 hours later, the moon moves into exact opposition to the sun over Chiron and Juno. So Juno is being activated in the natal chart, but Juno is also activating Saturn. And again, I think this is a very feminine energy. So the moon is feminine, Juno is feminine. So we have Juno transiting and Juno in the natal chart. And we have Black Moon Lilith down here, and she is also a feminine energy. So there's a ton of feminine energy. And also Pallas Athena is a feminine energy. So we really have a ton of feminine energy. And Venus is feminine energy, and Vesta is feminine energy. Vesta is the goddess protector of the home, which I find very interesting that Vesta will be conjunct Venus for quite a long time in Gemini, like four months or something like that. So the feminine energy is really, really intense right now, which is it makes a lot of sense, okay? Because, and this actually is proof that we are evolving. So this is some more good news for you guys. Because Pluto, being the god of death, and Mars being so highly activated, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more with this chart, because all these planets in Aries, especially at the time of the full moon, and then this square from transiting Mars, and then the Neptune-Mercury square to Mars, the Mars energy is being highly, highly activated right now at the same time that the Pluto energy is so intense. So it's natural that the feminine nurturing energy is rushing in to try to bring some healing and some care and some nurturing in the world. And also, and that can be men too. So I don't want to imply that only the women matter here. I'm talking about the feminine, nurturing, caretaker kind of energy. It can be manifested through men as well, okay? And it's rushing in to help heal the world. And we can do that even if we are not actual caretakers in the sense of being, like medical personnel. We can be caretakers and nurturers on the energetic level. So when I say this full moon is a call to all light workers, that's because we need to come in and bring in this healing energy. That's how we will create this new future, okay? And so the chart here shows you the exact Mars-Uranus conjunction at 5 degrees 32 minutes earlier on April 7th. And this is the energy of the revolution that I've been talking about. And I may go ahead and bring up that other chart, even though I know I've brought it up so many times. but I may bring it up again because I feel like I just have to drive it home. You know, like, you have got to wake up. This is transform or die time. This is not a time to be messing around. This is not a time to curl up like a sow bug in fear. This is a time to, you know, like, bring on your inner warrior. You are a light worker. Bring on your spiritual warrior energy. That's what we need here. And this is revolutionary energy. So I think I will bring up the other chart because I do think I really have to drive this home. We are not going back to the way it was before. And the chart on Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2021 is, in my mind, absolute proof. You know, as I've said before, I rarely make predictions on this channel because I feel very strongly that if I'm going to make a prediction, I need to feel 100% confident in it. And I am telling you that I am 100% confident in the prediction that we are not going back to the way it used to be. There is no chance because of that revolutionary energy that's coming. So I am going to show you that chart again because I really think this is important. So what we see here is we see an activation of that degree point, which we will see again in the chart of the revolution. That's what I'm going to start calling it. It's the Inauguration Day chart, but it's also the chart of the revolution that's coming. And so Uranus is at that degree point, making an exact square to Mars over here in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. And they are right over, the square is right over the South Node. The South Node is the things we need to release, the things we need to be done with. It's the karma from the past, all the things that we need to be done with. That karma we need to be done with. Get it done, release it, put it in the past so we can move forward into our new future, okay? So that's what the revolution is about. It's releasing the old guard in order to bring something new, okay? We are in the midst of that right now. And if you haven't noticed that, then you are unbelievably out of touch with reality. And it's time to wake up. This is a transform or die time for humanity, for individual human beings and for humanity as a whole and for our entire planet and all the species on our planet. I've said before, we are literally, according to the definition of a mass extinction, we are literally in the sixth mass extinction right now. And it's up to us to decide because we are the brain and the consciousness of this planet now. And it's up to us to decide, do we want to live or do we want to die? So I hope you're going to show up as a light worker and as a spiritual warrior and as a healer. And let go of the pettiness and the petty ego and the greed and the selfishness and the name calling and the blaming and the pointing fingers. This is a time to show up and take responsibility as a warrior, as a courageous spiritual warrior. All right, so let's go look at that inauguration chart again. And I'm going to leave up this Mars square Uranus because we're actually going to get some very powerful clues very soon about what this is going to look like. All right, so the chart I'm looking for is the Inauguration Day chart. And I hope it won't be too hard to find. There it is. Okay, so So this is it. Mars is activating it on April 7th, on the day of the full moon. And basically it's at 6 degrees, which is important because I showed you that the degree of the nodes in the chart of the Declaration of Independence is at 6 degrees. It forms an exact square. The Uranus energy up here, which is at the degree of the Inauguration Day Chart, this is 5 degrees, 5 degrees, this is 6 degrees, okay? So Mars is activating this at the full moon on April 7th. So we're going to get some major, major clues, okay? And so pay attention. Pay attention to what's coming. These alignments, the Mars square Uranus is exact on April 7th at 2:50 p.m. in Washington, D.C. And then the full moon is exact in the evening of the same day around 10:45 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Something is coming, and it will be shocking, absolutely shocking and unpredictable. I can't even predict what it will look like. You know, I'm always really, really cautious about making predictions around Uranus because it's literally the planet of unpredictability. No astrologer can predict what Uranus will bring. All we know is it will bring something that is absolutely shocking and will blow our minds. We never saw it coming. That's all I can tell you. It will be something we never expected. And I'm a little nervous about this, but we have to face it. It's coming whether we like it or not, okay? And so again, these are the degrees. This is the inauguration chart where these two planets are at 6 degrees, squaring these planets over here in Aquarius. And Uranus rules Aquarius. So Uranus is over here in Taurus, and it's squaring these planets over here in Aquarius. So this Mars-Uranus square on the day of the full moon is activating the revolution, okay? So we will get clues about what that's going to look like, but it won't fully manifest. The revolution won't fully manifest until Inauguration Day. So I think what I want to do is go ahead and pull up the Inauguration Day chart and put it on the Declaration of Independence, because I really want you to see how these degrees here in Aquarius and these degrees over here in Taurus and the square that they make on the nation's chart is the indication of a coming revolution. Okay, so let's see, we need the Declaration of Independence chart. All right, so on Inauguration Day, the North Node is right over Mars. Again, this is the direction of our evolution, but it's squaring Neptune over here. And Ceres. So I think that Ceres is going to start playing an important role too. I'm not 100% sure what that role is, so I'm going to be doing a lot of meditation on that to try to be able to interpret what role Ceres is going to be playing in all of this. But this is what you got to look at here. Mars and Uranus make an exact conjunction in Taurus at that degree point. It's being activated on April 7th. And this happens exactly on January 20th, 2021, which is Inauguration Day. And the moon is moving in there. And the moon is emotions and subconscious in the people. They are revolting. And this, that could be interpreted in two ways. I should have said they are rebelling. And Black Moon Lilith is right in there too, okay? So this is some intensely powerful energy. But notice that this energy here of this conjunction in Uranus although it is squaring the nodes, which, and this is the old guard that needs to go, because the south node is the things that we need to be done with and release. Okay, so the old guard has to go, but, and it's got 4 energies too. It's got the sun, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pallas Athena, and actually it's got Mercury too. So yeah, so this is pretty intense. This is why, you know, all of you who are light workers who are watching me right now and hearing this message right now, you really, really, really need to get on your warrior, your spiritual warrior energy right now, because this is coming. And it may seem like January 20th is a long ways away, but I think that because we're in the quickening, that it will actually come unbelievably quickly. And we're already seeing it. Something's going to get activated on April 7th with the full moon and the Mars-Uranus conjunction at these degrees. So again, that will give us clues, because I can't tell you right now what that's going to be, because Uranus is unbelievably predictable. There's no astrologer who can predict what Uranus will bring, because it's the planet of unpredictability and shocks, surprises, and just anything that just comes out of the blue. You know, you never expect, you're like, what the hell? That's the way Uranus works. So let's see here. Again, this squares the nodes. Yeah, and then it squares all these. So yeah, we know that this is a revolution, and we need to be done with the old guard. That's what it's telling us. And let me see if there was something else that I needed to say. Well, I thought there might be, oh yeah, now I remember what it was. It was the issue around 3 days of darkness. And so, okay, so now you've seen how this 6 degrees of Taurus is squaring the nodes on Inauguration Day, okay? So now I want to go back to the Mars square Uranus chart that's happening on April 7th, the same day as the full moon. And I think I'll put it on the chart, yeah, of the Declaration of Independence, because I just think, for me personally, it just makes everything so much more obvious when you can see it right there. It's the same degree. Well, I mean, pretty much, you know, 5 degrees, 6 degrees, and same here. So Mars is activating the revolution, okay? And again, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. It will give us clues, okay? It won't fully manifest until Inauguration Day, but it will give us clues, and it is activating something. So this is very, very important to pay attention to what is coming with this Mars square Uranus and full moon on April 7th, okay? So getting back to this rumor about the 3 days of darkness, that relates to Bible prophecy. It has something to do with the world going dark. I'm not completely familiar with it, but it's actually super easy to research. All you have to do is just, you know, type into Google search or YouTube search 3 days of darkness, and you'll get loads of information. Again, it's based on Bible prophecy, and it's something about the world going dark prior to the tribulation and revelations and all of that, and the end days and all that, okay? So there are a lot of people out there who believe that we are actually in the end days right now, okay? That this is literally the apocalypse. And as I said, I think it's really, really important to understand the true meaning of the word apocalypse, which is something will be revealed, okay? Keep your mind focused on that. The other stuff is a misunderstanding of the word apocalypse. The true meaning of the word apocalypse is something is revealed. It's uncovered. It's like taking off the veil, okay? And that I think could possibly happen. I don't think it'll look anything like what people imagine it will look like. And I think it's important not to get confused by what you imagine it will look like, because I don't think it's going to look anything like what people think it's going to look like. I think that some people will go into violence because that's what they believe, and other people who are light workers will go into light and love and peace and bring that energy into the world, because they will have the reveal. The veil will be removed for them. They don't need the violence to get there. So anyway, so it's interpreted as the 3 days of darkness is interpreted as the internet going dark for 3 days and no cell phones. So that's the rumor that's going around. No internet and no cell phones for 3 days. Okay? So just understand that it's Bible prophecy, so you can make up your own mind whether you think that's legitimate or not. It's a rumor. And what I will say is, for the most part, I wasn't taking it seriously until I saw this Uranus-Mars square right over this point in the chart, you know, with the South Node in Aquarius. And I mean, these are the degree points of the coming revolution. So when I saw that square, that exact square of Uranus to Mars on that degree on April 7th, the same day as the full moon, and this, you know, 3 days of darkness Bible prophecy that's being passed around, I thought, maybe we should take this seriously. It won't necessarily manifest the way that they think it's going to manifest, because, as I said, Uranus is the planet of unpredictability. So we can't actually predict what's going to happen. On the other hand, I think that there may be people who want this so badly. They are so desperate for the end times because they believe it will bring the second coming of Christ. But as I keep saying, Christ is already here. Christ is unconditional love that we hold in our hearts. All we have to do is remove the veil and we can see the truth. But they believe that the world needs to be destroyed and that Jesus will come out of the sky. And I don't know, maybe it's an alien, you know, because I actually do believe in aliens, but you know, I just think it's not going to look anything like what they think it's going to look like. So whether we are really in these so-called end times or not, it's not going to look anything like what they think it's going to look like. But there are people who are so desperate for this to be true, for these to be the end times, and for the world to be destroyed, because they believe that that will bring the second coming of Christ. And they may do something to try to make it happen. You hear what I'm saying? And because of the fact that there are people in positions of power who have this mindset and have these beliefs and have these desires, it is possible that they may do something to try to make it true. You see what I'm saying? But with Uranus in the square, in these degrees, we cannot predict it. So all I'm saying to you is just understand that something that comes out of the blue that you could have never expected and is completely shocking and completely disrupting, because that's what Uranus does, turns everything upside down. Just be prepared, okay? I don't know what it's going to look like. I cannot predict it because Uranus is the planet of unpredictability. But all I can say is be prepared, because something very shocking may happen. I don't know what it will look like. I cannot tell you. Please do not leave comments saying, what is it going to look like? I don't know. That's the whole point with Uranus, okay? I'm just saying that if this happens, it could be very shocking. So be prepared. And again, I can't tell you how to prepare, you know? I'm sorry. I just go and watch prepper videos or something, you know? All I can do is all I can do really is just say, I will keep coming back over and over and over and over and over again and keep saying, this is transform or die time. I don't know. I'm not an expert survivalist. I'm not an expert prepper. I've done my best to prepare myself. I started this, 18 years ago when I saw what was coming with 9/11. And I showed you a chart in my last video about what's coming in the next 18 years. And people who don't want to pay attention get caught off guard and unprepared. And I'm not the expert to tell you how to prepare. I'm an astrologer. All I can do is tell you the timing and the energies that are coming and the fact that you need to transform or die. You need to figure out how to prepare yourself emotionally, psychologically, physically, financially, relationally, spiritually, every single way you can possibly think of. You need to get honest and authentic, clean up your karma, stop lying to yourself, stop lying to other people, and live from your heart, live from love and not fear. I know this video might be really scary for a lot of people, but that's the whole thing, is that you get to make the choice. And if you make the choice, you actually can create a dimension of peace. My life has not been disrupted at all. I heeded the call 18 years ago. I changed my life. And now here I am. My life has not been disrupted even one iota. And some people may find that obnoxious for me to say that. But I think it's important for me to tell you the truth so that you understand that this is serious stuff. I took it seriously 18 years ago and I changed my life. And now I feel more prepared. And if you want to know, go buy my book, or take my workshop. Because I've got a lot of people who are serious about this stuff and need my time and want my time. And I will give 100% that I can to them and 100% that I can to you. But I am only one human being, and there are only 24 hours in a day, and I have to sleep part of that. So some of the stuff you guys have got to figure out for yourself, okay? And if this frustrates you and you want to leave my channel, I'm at peace with that, because I really had to have a deep soul-searching conversation with myself. And I said to myself, I don't have time for pettiness. I only have time for absolute 100% authenticity right now. And that means that everything I say and do has to be in alignment with my heart and what I believe to be true. And I will keep speaking this message over and over and over again for anyone who wants to hear it. And those who don't like it, you can go on your way and you can try to figure this out for yourself. And I wish you the best. So, all right, I think that's all I can say. So I think a lot of you are getting to know a part of me that you didn't know existed, that I can be really passionate about certain things. And this is something I am dead serious about and very passionate about. This is my calling. Sometimes you reach a point in life when it's like you hit a crossroads and you know that you have to follow the calling. And that's what this is right now. April 7th is bringing alignments. That is a calling to all light workers. So if you've made it this far in this video, then that's you. Okay? Listen to the calling. You are being called to be a light worker. And I'm so happy to have you here in my community. And I love you. So, time for me to sign off, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.